Hello, this is the Green Corn Rebellion show. I'm Gregor Hard II, and today I'm here with Kirk of Holiday Kirk. He is a new metal fan, Twitch streamer, and new metal musician. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
All right, you're welcome. Thanks for coming on. So first question to get to know you a little bit. Where are you from and where did you grow up?
I'm from currently in Los Angeles, California, and I grew up in a suburb of Chicago, Illinois.
All right. Is it the same suburb that the boys from Chevelle are from, or is it a different one?
Oh, good one. They're from Peoria, I want to say. It's not, if I'm right, but no,
Yeah.
it's not. That's a good one though.
Okay. Because that was like the first thing I thought of when I thought suburb of Chicago. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Whoa, 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 whoa. Stop what you're doing. Okay. If you like this video and you like the other content on my channel, please hit the like button on this video. Also, go hit subscribe like right now. And also, when you hit subscribe, click the bell so you can get notifications whenever I put out a new video. So, thanks. All right, enjoy the rest of the video. What got you into new metal?
Well, I moved to Los Angeles in the summer of 2017. And when I moved here, I was really more of like an indie rock type kid, indie and like emo music and stuff. And then I started working in some offices and in Los Angeles, our offices are like cool offices, man. So they play cool music. So a lot of like the indie music I loved so much would play in the offices all day. Like I would hear the same LCD sound system and Arcade Fire and Radiohead songs in the office all day. And it became like I kind of am growing to hate this stuff just because of, you don't want to leave work and continue to listen to the sounds of work. So I really wanted to find like the genre that would never be acceptable in those situations. And that's really new metal, I think, is like the last form of music that you can't play in like polite company. Like it's very awkward for people. People ask you to turn it off. But additionally, I think I was also just looking for something else. And yeah, that's how I found my way back into new metal.
All right. So how did you go about compiling this list? Yeah, tell me how you went about compiling this list. Like, what was the criteria, and then like how you ended up choosing the songs.
So the list in question, which is my 100 greatest new metal songs of all time, I did the list because I knew that people wanted something like that and it was going to get done whether I did it or not. But I also knew that I was maybe the only person that could do it correctly. Because I think it would, and I know that's like kind of arrogant, but
Yeah.
I just see a million different publications putting out their version of this where it's just like the same 3 or 4 bands for 100 songs and
Yeah.
doesn't really get us anywhere. So for me, it like I had by that point, by the time I actually got into the list, which was last summer when I really started taking it seriously, I had accumulated so many way off the radar underground foreign new metal bands and songs. It was like it was just a natural desire to tell people about it. Like I was like, I have to get this. It was like a secret. It was like I was in on a secret. Like, Matt, there's so many more good bands than just the same 3 or 4
Yeah.
over and over. So I just started compiling it on my own and really hammering it out and getting the feel of it down and working on it from there.
Okay. So with this list, whenever you decided to make it, you wanted to do like the old school new metal bands. So like you didn't want to have like any bands that like debuted post like '05 or so, right? Because I know that's
No, no,
like,
no, that's not true.
oh really? So it just ended up like kind of by accident that's how the list ended up being. Because
Well, you have
yeah.
Tala, Loathe, and
Hmm.
Vain. are on the list, and all
Okay,
of
they
those
are.
bands,
I missed those then. I must have
yes,
overlooked them. Okay.
yes, and
Uh,
they have all come around in like the
oh
last
yeah,
like
the last
5 years
5 years
or
or so.
so.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay, I missed
they're all in there.
those. Okay. Now I have even more complaints now that I know that. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting because for me, like when most people think of new metal, they mostly just think of like the older new metal bands, like pretty much any new metal band that came out from like 94 to like 2004 or so.
That's
And
like that's a good range. Yeah.
yeah, and like after that, it's like either your band came out and it wasn't considered new metal, even if it was new metal, or like there was just like no real like new metal bands for like a good 5 or 6 years or so. And then we've had this like resurgence of new metal bands over the last like 5, 6, almost 10 years now, I guess. Because I was like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like what was it, From Ashes to New had their EP in 2013, and then Issues came out in 2014. Oh no, please don't tell me that was almost 10 years ago. Am I like, wow, that's 8 years ago. So yeah,
And
like
even with those bands, a lot of the
um,
bands from those eras you would consider very like tangentially new metal. Like the thing about new metal is, and that I stress to people is like if you spend a lot of time in my circle or like following me or reading my stuff, you might think that like new metal is cool again. It's really not. It's still kind of like a joke. It's it's not something. It's not like a disco where it's been reappraised and we're all actually huge disco fans. Like I think to most people, certainly to music critics, I mean it's getting through. The tide is changing, but I think for a lot of people, it's still just a total shit genre. And I've never been like upset that the wave crashed on new metal around like 2005 where it came to an end because it had to come to an end. But what didn't have to happen was the sort of critical stomping out of it entirely and how it's become sort of a joke in the aftermath of that. Like by 2007, there just wasn't there really wasn't anything. Not only was the genre gone from the airwaves and from the charts and whatnot, but a lot of the bands that had been making it were going and saying like, well, we were never really new metal, and our next album it's going to be a lot more atmospheric, and we're
yeah.
really going back to our roots as a folk country band and stuff like that. Everyone just wanted to get away from it as quickly as they could, which is funny because that's the last time guitar music was really competitive
Yeah,
as a pop force. That was it. That was the last time,
yeah.
and probably will be the last time forever. Not gonna lie, but yeah. So I think that is what can be reversed, and what people I think are going to be really excited to reevaluate is to be able to go back to the music that either they were raised on or the music that their big brothers had liked, or just are looking for guitar music that's not played out and then get to be like, yeah, like, yo, this shit is amazing.
Yeah, because like episodes of the Green Corn Rebellion show are sponsored by Oklahoma Progress Now. Oklahoma Progress Now is a 501c4 organization focused on building progressive power in Oklahoma. Their primary efforts are on developing progressive content for a 21st century audience, coalition, and capacity building across progressive organizations and causes, and working to see elected leaders who are more responsive to their constituents and the needs of the many. Areas of focus include progressive messaging and communications, coalition building and resource sharing, and focused progressive policy goals. You can check out their Twitch live streams, and they go live on Facebook on at noon, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Please support this organization. It's a really great organization. It's just getting started here in Oklahoma. Thank you. Now enjoy the rest of the video. Like, what is it? Because like whenever I got into new metal, this was like 20 late 2012, 2013 ish. That's when I really like, that's when I started learning about new metal and getting into new metal. Like first through Linkin Park, then like Disturbed, and then I bought Evanescence CD, the Fall or Fallen, and Slipknot, and slowly got into everything else. Like, and so like I remember 2014, people started talking about like, oh, there's like a little new metal revival happening where, um, what was it? At this time, From Ashes to New, they were getting a lot of play on Octane, Sirius XM, and now they're like kind of like a popular-ish mainstream rock band now. So it. And then what other bands were there at the time? Issues had come out. Uh, what was it? Of Mice and Men put out Restoring Force. That was what really made people start saying that like new metal was coming back, because Of Mice and Men put out Force, which was like a new metal album mixed with like metalcore influences.
Yeah.
And then what was it? Who else was there at the time? Attila had always existed, but like, they had About That Life, and then they had Guilty Pleasure, and then Amir came out with Eternal Enemies, but Amir had also been out for a while too. But people like, I always say Attila and Amir are kind of like the Corn and Limp Bizkit of the quote unquote new metal revival era, because like,
I'm not very familiar with either, honestly.
really, okay,
No.
so
See, so my problem with
yeah,
like the era you're describing is like a lot of those bands you would consider to be like new metalcore or just metalcore, and I really don't like metalcore at
really, you
all.
don't like, that's
No.
interesting.
The
Okay.
thing that metalcore misses that new metal did so well is I feel like, and I also think someone could come along and be like, you're wrong, here's why, and I would say like, yeah, you're right, I missed out. But metalcore production in general to me sounds very static. It seems like the same drum kit is passed around between every band. It's the same couple guitars, and it just doesn't move me at all. I've just never heard any metalcore that connected with me
Really?
where I was like, oh, this speaks to me. Yeah, and any day now, honestly, any day now, none of my music opinions are really set in stone. Any day now, someone might send that band to me, and I'll be like, okay, yeah, I was
That's
missing out.
wow. Okay. Have you heard any Amir or Attila at all, or have you just heard of them?
The names are familiar. That's it.
Okay, I need to send you some songs of theirs because I feel like
You
you might like
absolutely
them.
do. You
You
absolutely do.
yeah, you're definitely missing out. Because I think you would like a lot of their stuff. Um, Same with Issues. Have you heard Issues?
Mm-mm.
Oh wow, yeah. You probably would. You might like Issues. I'm not sure. Issues is a little bit is probably the like wild card out of them. Like in a way, they're like the Deftones of the new metal revival era, because their music is like metalcore mixed with R&B and pop and jazz, and it's like really interesting. Like it's like a lot of things put together. Like
Yeah,
a lot of
definitely
people
sends
have a
itself my way.
problem. Yeah, like a lot of people have a problem with me saying Issues is new metal, even though most people say they're new metal, but like because of how different they are compared to like the other new metal bands. But yeah. But what is it? But yeah, I don't remember where I was going with this. I have no idea where I was going with this. But yeah.
You were telling me about how new
Yeah.
metal inspired you to run for Congress.
No, that was not it. No, that's not.
You were just
No.
about to tie those together.
No. Oh wow. That'd be something. No. But no. What was it? But yeah, new metal. Oh, the revival thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what I was saying was, but like whenever I was in high school, new metal was like not popular. No one really knew what it was. It wasn't like a thing. And to the extent that like anyone knew anything about those bands, like, I mean, of course everyone knew Disturbed, Corn, Slipknot, whatever. But like they didn't really think too much about those bands personally. Like they're like, oh, they're great or whatever, but like no one was into those bands, and no one knew who Limp Bizkit was whenever I was in high school. But now, fast forward 5, 6, 7 years later, it feels like those bands have kind of like come back into style again. And now, like, everyone under the age of like 23 is like lists Limp Bizkit as one of their top 5 favorite bands. And I'm just like, okay, this is weird. Like, I don't know how this started happening, but I'm glad it's happening. And
Well, I
yeah,
think the reason that it's happening and like the edge that new metal has over, like, let's say you're young and you want to find guitar rock that's interesting to you, is that I think people gravitate towards new metal because of how it seeks to go beyond the established like rock and roll tradition of like the blues tradition and whatnot. Whereas pretty much every rock based movement or trend or that followed new metal was very reverent to some form of rock's past. Like everyone brings up the garage rock revival as being the thing that killed new metal, which it is and it isn't. But the garage rock revival is entirely predicated on sounding like the fucking White Stripes. I mean, wow, totally blew that one. It was predicated on sounding like the Velvet Underground
yeah,
or the Kinks or the Rolling Stones. That was the whole movement was doing that, which is fine. But you could see how that would become really boring, especially when those all those songs now are used to soundtrack like $10 crab dippers at Applebee's commercials.
yeah.
It's it's that reverence that I think is just so off to people. And because bands like Limp Bizkit, like you're gonna see the Strokes and the White Stripes and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame within the next couple of years. Limp Bizkit and Korn will probably never get in there, and I think that's what makes it. I think that's what makes it so invigorating. Is because I don't want them in there. You know.
I'll say this. I think, I don't know. I don't think Limp Bizkit will get in there, but I think Corn, if Corn does, because Corn's eligibility was like 2019. That's when their eligibility started, I think. Yeah, because it's 25 years. Because it's 25 years after your first debut album. So Corn's been eligible for the last 2 years now. I think Corn will get in there before the White Stripes and those bands, though, because like Corn's way more like I was having this conversation with someone the other day about 2000s indie rock. People try to act like it was even more popular or relevant than new metal, and like I just can't see saying White Stripes or the Strokes is as popular or influential as Korn was or is. So I think
Right.
Korn will end up in there before those bands, but I feel like, like those bands, I don't even really think the Strokes deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
Well, you
to
got
be
to remember. I mean,
honest.
they
But
don't.
still, yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
remember, it's not about popularity. It's about who's casting the
Yeah,
ballots,
that
and the
too.
people
Yeah.
casting the ballots are going to want to put those bands
Yeah.
in the hall. Not that that's like a big deal, but that's really sort of
Yeah.
the emblem of like classic rock worship and fundamentalism. It's not, and the narrative that garage rock killed new metal is flawed, but not totally untrue. It really went more like the wave crash, for new metal around '04, which I think is really, to be expected. 10-year run, a 10-year run. That's a good run for a genre. It's got to end at some point. But so with garage rock, those types of bands, like the Strokes, the Killers,
Yeah.
Future Heads, trying to come up with just a few more, Arctic Monkeys, those bands, I think that a lot of the rock publications and rock criticism saw their opportunity to stop caring about new metal and be able to put that to the side and just treat it like some nonsense, like, because I think they always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And because of that, the narrative was built by them, by the cool people, that new metal was a joke.
Yeah.
And that's how that groundwork got laid over the ensuing 10 years or whatever, where it was broadly accepted. It was broadly accepted the genre was a mistake and nothing good happened.
Yeah. But no, the thing I was trying to say or end with saying was like, you were saying that new metal was like the last time guitar based music was ever really popular, like in like the mainstream, like super mainstream sense. Like they, like right now we have, what is that girl's name?
Olivia Rodrigo.
Yes, she had the song where she ripped off Paramore. I think she has another song where there's guitar playing in it too. But like, even though that's not quite metal, nor is it anywhere near anything like exactly like the old emo bands like Fall Out Boy used to be, or like Paramore, it's kind of close. Like it's getting
Oh,
back to like I would say that like in a way I would like to see, and I think it could happen where years from now we could see some sort of like metal becoming more uh mainstream again. And it starts with something like her song becoming popular, but then eventually maybe 5 or 6 years from now we'll have some sort of like new metal band, and they're all like zoomers born in like '05, and they like listen to Issues and like, like, I don't know, Periphery or something. And like that's what they're influenced by. I don't know, but that's, yeah.
the influence will trickle up. I
Yeah,
am skeptical if you'll ever see like a group, like just a band topping, like a new band really hitting the charts and selling well and stuff, or
yeah,
like I don't know if a new band will ever be like a mainstream pop concern. It's not impossible either. I'll probably end up, hopefully, I end up eating my shoes someday because of this, but
yeah.
you'll hear the influence trickle up without a question that will hit like mainstream concept before long. Um, just once this, I think once the like pop punk stuff washes out, which any day now. But yeah, that'll happen. I think it's funny too, because like with the emo and pop punk stuff, where you would see like the popularity of the two, kind of from around what like 99 to 2007, let's just go roughly. It's
Yeah,
funny that that has become a mainstream touchstone well before new metal did, because new metal was around before that. So it's funny that the influence sphere just jumped right over it, and that all got left in the dust. But like I'm
yeah.
always telling people, that's really to our benefit. We want to be undervalued and underrated for like as long as we can, because if we can keep that credibility, it's just going to help us in the long run. We really want people to write us off for a while.
Hmm. It's interesting. Yeah, because like now we have, what is it? Have you ever heard of the like trap metal stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Like Scarlord and Ghostmane and stuff like that. Like that stuff is really interesting to me. When I found out about that and the emo rap stuff, I was like, okay, so this is where like new metal is kind of right now. Like this is like the most popular thing that is a direct influence from new metal, because it's like the inverse of new metal pretty much. Like, and like that like Scarlord, Ghostmane, like they do good numbers, like compared like for unsigned or underground, whatever it's called, artists, like they do pretty
Yeah.
good. And
Wasn't Ghostmane's last album produced by Ross Robinson?
was it? Oh wow, that's huge. If it
It,
was, I
it,
had no idea.
it
But that's
really might have been.
huge.
It really might have been.
That's huge if it was. Oh wow. That's something.
So can't get away from that connection.
Yeah, like, yeah, because I think, oh, and also I think Ghostmane went on tour with Bring Me the Horizon, I
That
think,
sounds accurate.
a few years ago, or they were going to, within the pandemic, something like that. There something of that nature was about to happen. But like, yeah, like to me, like that's kind of like where the like remnants of new metal is right now. That's like really has people's eyes and stuff, and has people's attention. Um, so I don't know, like eventually maybe we'll have something like that, become a thing or something. I don't know. It's interesting to see though. Um, what was the other thing I was gonna ask? Okay, so I'm gonna start getting into the list itself.
Let's do this. My pride and joy.
Uh, okay, so I'm gonna start asking. Okay, so there was, I believe, one OTEP song on the list, and it was Sacrilege, which is good. I like it. But why not TRIC by OTEP? That
Sacrilege
one, yeah, go ahead.
Sacrilege was the one that hit me the hardest when I first like checked out
Heard
that
it?
record. It
Yeah.
just got to me the quickest. And I do think that like TRIC and Battle Ready are also great, but
Yeah.
Sacrilege to me just felt more true to her, much respect to OTEP, more true to her, like how I would say like her essence.
Mm-hmm.
Just the sort of targeted attack of it was what really did it for me. And it's got a great chorus.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it? That was the one album by her that I like bought on CD. What was it? Love Blood Pigs. What else? TRIC, Battle Ready. What is the one? The slow one. Hold on. I'm looking it up. I have it on here. My Confession. That's a love that one. Yeah. Yeah, she still puts out some really good albums. Like I still check out her stuff whenever she puts out new stuff.
Yeah, she's consistent.
Yeah, she's pretty underrated. People don't talk about her enough when it comes to metal in general, because like she like what was it? Because what was this? 02 when that first album came out. She had an EP in 2001, I think. Yeah. But consistently good stuff. Not a bad album. All their stuff is pretty good. But yeah, TRIC, that's my favorite by her. That one.
I'll check that out again. See if I missed something.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so the Chevelle song that you put on here, the Clincher. So even in your little thing, you stated that Chevelle isn't a new metal band; they're an alternative metal band, like Seether and Breaking Benjamin. But you said that occasionally they go into like some of their songs are new metal songs. You said the Clincher is the new metal song. So how exactly do you think the Clincher is a new metal song? And what other songs by them do you think could also be new metal?
Well, I'd say with the Clincher, it foregrounds its main riff, which is something close to a bounce riff. And it's really structured around it's structured to put that riff front and center, I think, just as much as any of the choruses. And it has a lot of the breakdown and build up sections that are really typical of new metal. It's also drop A sharp, I believe, which is really far down. Like the majority of Chevelle songs are in drop B, and that one's in drop A sharp. But with a lot of new metal, there's also just like a feel to it. There's a feel that you can't quite describe, and I think that song has a little bit of a looser feel than other Chevelle songs, which can be really, really like straightforward and somewhat calculated. As for like other Chevelle songs that I would consider new metal, man, it's a tough question to be honest with you. I'd say Family System is probably new metal.
Really? Okay.
I'd say Family System is probably new metal.
What about the song Wonder What's Next?
Possibly. Yeah. It's hard to say these things though without really revisiting it. But I'm very like set in that one. I don't consider them to be a new metal band. They're not funky at all. That's the last thing they are. There's no rapping, no turntables. I think they're a very straight ahead and very good alternative metal band. But only a couple of their songs would I say like, okay, these are new metal songs.
Yeah, so like with the Clincher, to me, I get what you're saying with the riff. I don't really think it's like a bounce riff though. I think when I hear that song, I think more of like Tool slash like definitely Tool, or like almost like Alice in Chains type something, because because to me, like when I hear that riff, it kind of reminds me of what's it called, the riff in Prison Song. You know the song Prison Song? Oh, not Prison Song. Prison Prison.
Yeah, that's it. No, you're
by
right.
Tool. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. that's what that riff kind of reminds me of, because it's kind of crunchy-ish, but not like as like aggressive. Well, the prison riff, not the Chevelle riff, but like that's why I'm saying like that riff kind of reminds me more of like a Tool or Alice in Chains ish type riff, not so much a bounce riff from like a uh you know, like Soulfly or Slipknot or something like that.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's not too much of a bounce rip, to be honest. But I think the other thing that really makes new metal. I was actually just thinking about this today because this is all I think about. Is I think new metal is a very proudly pop genre, and
Yes.
uh, songs that like new metal songs to me are really short and written as hard as they can to get to the best chorus they can and most
Yeah.
hooks. And I think the Clincher does that also really well. It also, I mean, I could just keep naming like different parts of it that I think sound really new metal to me, like the single word breakdowns or the
Yeah.
touch harmonics. But there's also a little bit of a tilt, I would say, to maybe a couple songs on the list where it's like, you know, maybe this isn't a really classically new metal song, but I really want to talk about it, and I do
Yeah.
really think it belongs in here. Just sort of like a sixth sense, like a kind of a just kind of feel, and I think that keeps it interesting. I did actually have a guy, Spike Eskin, I think his name is. He's a radio DJ. He
Mhm.
called out. He called me out. He said that I used to have a 3 Days Grace song on there. I hate everything about you.
Yes, I remember
Like
that.
he's like, buddy, it's not new metal. And I was
Yeah.
like, I agree with you. I agree with you actually. So I did replace that one with a
Yeah.
different song, but it does happen where that'll come up.
Mm.
And for the record, I hate everything about you does not have anything close to
Yeah.
like a riff. It's very straightforward, very post grunge.
Yeah.
So
When was the last time you updated the list?
it's been a little while. I try to stop in and do like some edits on it, but I have not put. I like changing out a song would be like a huge call for me. So that's nothing that I could say I would do. Like it's nothing I take lightly. The last time I updated it was I added a song by the Japanese new metal band Gundog to Linkin Park's entry in the top 5 because I have like a see also sections.
Yeah.
I added one of their songs on there because I thought it made a good compliment for a Linkin Park fan. But yeah, that would probably be the last thing I made. I really have been meaning to take an Adderall and go through the entire list again and see what I can clean up, see what I can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I think the first time I looked at the list, it was like a month ago. I felt like there was a 3 Days Grace song on there that I didn't think deserved to be on there, but I wasn't sure.
It didn't. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that got pointed out. I'll save that for my 100 greatest post grunge songs.
Yeah. I also have an issue with the term post grunge, but that's something for another day. Oh no, let's go ahead and talk about that. So post grunge versus alternative metal versus grunge. Do you think that like I personally don't think post grunge is really a thing. I think any band that they labeled post grunge can easily just be labeled either alternative metal or grunge or both, frankly, because like a lot of grunge bands were also labeled alternative metal. Like Soundgarden was labeled alternative metal. Alice in Chains is also labeled alternative metal. But yeah.
I totally disagree with you. I think
Okay,
that
I want to hear this. Yeah.
I think post grunge completely is a thing. And the way I would define post grunge is it would be the music that you would call grunge, but made with total shamelessness.
Okay.
Like the bands that I think were biggest for post grunge, bands like Nickelback, Creed,
3 Doors Down.
Who?
3 Doors Down.
3 Doors Down. Oh fuck yeah. 3 Doors Down. And I'm gonna throw them in there just for total shamelessness, even though they're not as big as some of those other bands would be. Seether. Those bands, there was no even desire to push the sound forward anymore. At that point, it was literally just like we're gonna try to sing like Eddie Vedder. We're gonna try to sing like Kurt Cobain. We're gonna rip these fucking chords off. And with those bands too, you got the sense that those bands would get called up to Atlantic Records or to Columbia Records as boardroom, and the boardroom would be like, here's how we want you guys to do this. We need a song that sounds like this. And they would be like, yep, you got it. No problem. Like they would hit, we need you to do a song with Amy Lee. Yep, you got it. Fuck yeah. These were careerist bands. And that to me is really post-grunge. Like they weren't picking fights with Ticketmaster or writing pro-choice statements on their arms. They were just trying to move units, which, it's fine. I get it.
Yeah,
we all would like to move some units, but that would be what exemplifies post-grunge to me. And unlike new metal, I do find post-grunge. Honestly, I do find post-grunge to be mostly shit.
Okay. All right. That's fair, I guess.
Look, it's got some fun. There's some fun in there, and there's some good or even great songs. But if you asked me to make a top 100 greatest post-grunge songs of all time list, I would be in trouble.
Yes, I was about to say, like, I think I would be in trouble too. It's like 100. Like, can I just copy and paste like Creed's first 3 albums and then like Nickelback's first 2? Like, it's just like,
I would get to the 30s and start hurting. It would be trouble. It would be hard.
Yeah, like I like a lot of post grunge stuff, but like it's not something that like I'm like into as much as I am new metal. Like, don't get me wrong, like I like a lot of Creed. I like a lot of the songs in their first 3 albums. I like who else? I like a lot of Nickelback, but I mostly like Nickelback's hits. I don't really care for all their albums or anything. But in Fuel, I like the 2 Fuel songs that matter.
I do have a soft spot for Fuel. I'd say there's like 12 Fuel songs I think I'd stick up for. But with post grunge, I don't like get any pleasure out of really condemning the genre as a whole. It's not really what I'm in this for, but I swear to you, I've revisited some of these albums, some of these bands. They're not good. They're not good. I can't do it. Okay. They're bad. I tried. I'll keep trying. I'm sure I will listen to The States or Weathered again soon enough. And I'll be like, well, this is really bad. Don't know what to tell you guys.
All right. Okay, so next one I'm gonna ask about is Seven Dust. So I think you had Waffle, you had the cream one, I can't pronounce
Licking Cream.
Yes, and you had Black, and you had a 4th one.
I did not.
That was it? Just those 3? I could have sworn you had another one. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay, so the one song that there's really 3, but one that I felt like above all the others needed to be on the list was Trust. Why didn't you put Trust on there?
That's so funny that you'd named that song. There was a draft of the list that had that on there really briefly. That's so funny you'd call that one out. I mean, it's a deep cut, so that's funny you'd call that one out.
Well, that's actually the point. It's like it's not as deep. Like I guess most people don't really care for it much anymore, but like whenever it came out, it was like top 20 mainstream rock Billboard hit.
No, it wasn't. No, it was not.
No, yes, it was.
It wasn't even a single. Trust was not
even
a
single. Yes, it was.
Not a single.
Am I making this up? There's no way. Oh no, I'm looking this up right now because I can't believe.
I'm gonna buy the footage off of you of this podcast if I'm wrong.
Oh my god. There's no way. Let's see. No. Oh no, I'm wrong. No.
But that's how good of a song it is. That's how good of a song it is. You would think it was.
I swear it was. Did it chart at least? No, I can't believe
it's just a highlight. It's a highlight of the album.
Yes. Like, I still feel like, hold on, I'm gonna look at their discography just to make sure it didn't at least chart, or it wasn't like no way. I'm just making this up. I've just had this in my head all these years for some reason. Oh wow. Okay. All right. I stand corrected on my own show. All right, cool. Anyway, no, but I still will go on. No, Trust is really good because, like, what is it? Like, that song has like a breakdown before the chorus each time, and no band was doing that before. And then that was like in '01 when they put that out. And then fast forward like 5 years later, you have a whole bunch of metalcore bands and deathcore bands putting breakdowns literally everywhere. In fact, at I think by like '08, you had metalcore bands and deathcore bands that are pretty much just making songs out of breakdowns. So, and people were like criticizing them for it, but no one ever criticized Seven Dust for having multiple breakdowns in their songs
Because they were tight. They were tight.
because they were good. Like they were really, really good, and like no one even like pays that any attention because I listened to Trust. I don't think it was for the first time, but like it was last year. It was like I was listening to that album Animosity like a lot last year during the pandemic, and I had realized I was like, wait, there's a breakdown before each chorus. I mean, it's the same thing, but like it is a breakdown. And I'm like, this is like really odd that, like, to hear this in like a song that I would consider at the time I thought was a single, but still I would say that's like a pop-ish type song, like with the structure. And I was like, this is like really cool. And this definitely influenced a lot of bands that came up later on in metal. But no, but that's Trust is like the big one that I thought should have gone on that list.
It does have the exact same structure as Waffle,
Yeah.
the same structure, and I do think Waffle edges it out a little bit in terms of quality. I think it's just a little stronger, but
I don't
no,
know.
it's debatable. It is
It
debatable.
is, yeah.
I'm not fighting for this, but
Yeah,
then I
'cause-
think the other two Seven Dust songs do some extremely unique things that
Yes.
I had to include them for. I think I covered really the band pretty well in those three songs.
Yeah, because I would say because the other one the other ones I was thinking was the actual song Home. And what's the one? Oh, and Bitch by Seven Dust on their first album. Because I never really
Right.
cared. I honestly never really cared for the song Black by Seven Dust. I don't know why. I just never really have. But I really like on that first album, I really like Bitch and Terminator. Those are like the two ones I really like.
Those are good picks.
But I wouldn't have put Terminator on the list, but definitely would have put Bitch on the list and Home and possibly what's the one? Rumblefish. I think it's right.
All of these are great songs,
yeah.
But these are like Seven Dust bangers, like really straightforward. And then I think Waffle is what covered all those. Whereas like with Black, you had, in addition again to just being a really classic Seven Dust banger, you were also covering racial issues, racial injustice in a way that literally no other band in the scene was doing. I shouldn't say literally, but like but pretty much no other band in the scene was doing. And then you had Licking Cream, which had two Black vocalists on the song, where most bands had a whole whopping zero. Yeah. And there really aren't that many songs out there that sound like those two, and I feel like they deserved inclusion, if nothing else, just for that. But they're great. You know, they're obviously the perfect Seven Dust songs in their own right. Shout out to Seven Dust. I'm seeing them in March.
Cool.
I was supposed to have seen them this month, but it got delayed. Can't wait. That's probably the most straight up group of dudes in all of metal.
Yeah, they're pretty great. I've listened to them in a lot of interviews and podcasts. But yeah, they're also a really underrated band too.
They are underrated.
But let's see. All right, so we've covered the Seven Dust drama. Now with Slipknot, we have major beef with you on this one.
Let's go. Let's do
Disaster Piece. Why is it not anywhere on there?
Well, with Slipknot, so here's the funny thing about Slipknot. How many Slipknot songs do I have on this? I have 1, 2.
It's like 2, I think.
No, I have 3. I have 3.
Because it's Duality, Sick, and
Wait and Bleed.
Yeah, Wait and Bleed. Yes, 3. Yeah.
Which is a really small amount of songs from that band to have on that list. That's less than a lot of other bands. So okay, you know, all right. They've never been my favorite. Mm-hmm. I respect them to the ends of the earth. They're obviously one of the greatest of all time. So it's funny, I can't really argue with you because that's a song I might hang up and listen to and be like, fuck, oh, this should get on there. But
Yes.
as is, it was like I was really dead set on Duality and Sick had to be on there. I think Iowa, because that is off Iowa, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
off Iowa. Iowa is just such a rock solid full length album that I don't know if I would be able to pick songs off it and be like, oh, this is one of the greatest new metal songs of all time. It's more to me, it's like, this is one of the greatest new metal albums of all time. You should just listen to the whole thing. It'd be tougher for me to pick songs off it. Whereas with like Volume 3, it's really obvious, like these are the highlights, these are the best songs. And then with their debut, it was easy to grab Sick and Wait and Bleed because those were, that's the intro to the whole experience. That's the gauntlet throw. That's setting the bar. And then Wait and Bleed, which was it, and still is to me a really inventive fusion of extremely hard, extremely brutal metal and one of the poppiest choruses.
No kidding. Right?
Just a clean.
Yeah.
You could have given that to Christina Aguilera and made a hit out of it. But so that's where I would pick those three. That's like where my logic would come in from those three tracks. Whereas with Iowa, obviously there's great songs on there, but to me, Iowa is just them doing what they had already done, but better, like just tightening all the screws and really dialing it in.
Okay. Personally, I wouldn't have even put Duality on the list.
There was a time when I was thinking about making that number one.
Really?
There was a minute there where I was really considering making that the number one greatest new metal song of all time.
Oh wow. No. Yes. Don't get me wrong, I like Duality. I just wouldn't put it on the list. Because there's like at least 10 other Slipknot songs I can think of that probably could go on there besides Duality. Because like Disaster Piece and Eyeless were like the two ones that I thought should be on there, and was like, why aren't those on there?
Well, you're just thinking. So the way you're thinking of it though is just like, what are the best songs? Doesn't really work. It doesn't read so well because you're kind of, what I'm doing is I'm sort of simulating like a voting body, like the way Rolling Stone or Pitchfork would do, where they have people vote on the songs. I have to simulate the idea of like a fucking voting council voting on these songs. And you have to weigh in like historical importance and what each song meant culturally and in what contexts. So that, and I think that's how a good list is made, and sequencing too, and how things are sequenced. Because it's really important to me that if you pull the playlist up and you put it on from track 1, like you can go all the way to track 100 and be like with it every time. Whereas if it was to get weighed down with like 6, 7, 8 Slipknot songs, you'd be like, all right, I get the point. So with a song like Duality, which I think is very important as sort of like a cultural moment, especially coupled with its music video.
Yeah.
And again, and I really can't stress this enough, I do think it's their best song and would not be mad if someone called it the greatest new metal song of all time. I would be upset though if someone said they wouldn't include it at all. I do think that is a little out of pocket, but we all gonna have our takes, some hotter than others.
No, I'm sure people have given you crap for People Equal Shit not being on the list, haven't they?
I don't think I've heard. Oh, you know what? So the editor, this person that I had edit the piece, and I want to pull. I want to make sure I get all it. You Don't Need Maps on Twitter. Ellie, if you're watching this, I didn't forget your name. I forgot my own name, which meant I forget your name through that. I'm a prism, you see. They did an incredible job editing the list along with me. And they were like, you should put People Equal Shit on the list. And like, I get it for sure. That's a big one for them. But it's another one where I would say like, it's a refinement of what they've done. It's not necessarily a benchmark or a cultural moment. So
because I don't like that's one of the songs I think is like one of the more overrated songs by Slipknot. Like, sure, when I bought their greatest hits album, Antennas to Hell, when I was 15, I loved People Equal Shit. But by the time I turned 17, I was like, nah, it's good, but I don't know. It's kind of Like, not one of the better songs on the album. Yeah, but you know, uh, some of my more favorite songs on the album are like New Abortion and Metabolic. Those are like the two sleepers on the album I really, really like.
Good picks. Good picks.
But let's see. Okay. Moving on to Limp Bizkit. Roland and My Generation. They are non-existent on this list.
No, and deservedly so. No.
No. Why not?
I'm a bit of a Limp Bizkit truther, which is to say inside of our own community, I kind of have this. I get beat up for this every other week or so, but I really think Limp Bizkit are just like not of the like big four, big five of new metal bands. I'd say they're the worst.
Okay.
I don't think they're nearly as good as like Deftones or Korn or Slipknot. I think that their track record's kind of spotty, like with like full lengths. And on that particular full length, and again, I get torched for this all the time, but I think Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Clear Water is just a bad album, just flat out. Like, and I really couldn't put any of those songs on there. It's just not a great album. I know.
Come on this show and say those words. No. Oh no. That's not. No, that's inappropriate.
Buddy, I'll pay for this more than you will, though. Don't trust me. But it's fucking not. And nobody would want to be more wrong about this. And again, I say this, I'll say this every time. I might listen to it this week and realize like, oh, I was missing out actually. This like, hold on, this is great.
Not even like, I understand a lot of the songs and they're kind of come off as memes, even the ones that kind of halfway seem serious, like My Way. But like, It'll Be Okay and Boiler, those are two solid songs. Like,
but they're worse versions of songs from Significant Other. Like to me, Chocolate Starfish is at best a big step down from Significant Other, and at worst, it's just bad.
Even Boiler, because I think Boiler's like easily probably the best song on, at least on Chocolate Starfish.
You might not be wrong, but it's also a lesser rearranged.
No. The lesser rearranged is My Way.
Maybe. But there you go. You're dissing your own album now. See, I'm telling you.
But hey, but still, I don't know, man. That was a take. I've heard a lot of people say stuff like that, though. Like,
I think, again, like with me, though, you got to remember that it's always coming from love. And I hold these bands to a really high standard because I think they deserve to be put on a really high standard. And I think that we can discuss their catalogs deeply and seriously. So with the band like Limp Bizkit, who have not quite clicked for me all the way yet.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of Results May Vary?
Total shit.
Really?
Unsalvageable.
Even worse than Chocolate Starfish?
Much worse. I mean, that's in some ways that's the album that killed nu metal.
Okay.
And I'm serious. I think that was the moment when it felt like everyone was like done with this shit because it's really bad. It's really bad. And people were ready to give Limp Bizkit the critical beatdown that they had wanted to, which, you know, not totally deserved, but it's the kind of album I think that invites that level of criticism. It's really bad. You can't tell me, you can't sit there and be like, well, Wes Borland was gone, so that means once it became the Fred Durst show, like you had to have Wes in the mix. Mm-hmm. Without him, there was no one to control that ego.
So I still think Results May Vary is good. Even though Wes isn't there and the songs are completely different than, for the most part, than the rest of their other albums. I still think it's good, maybe not as good as Chocolate Starfish or $3 or Significant Other. I actually would even say that Results May Vary is better than Still Sucks. And that's only because Still Sucks is a smaller album with less songs.
Well, I don't think May Vary needed less songs. Needed maybe 2. Should have been an EP.
I'll say
0. would have been the better record.
I don't know. I'll. What do you think
I
of Gold
respect.
Cobra? What do you think of Gold Cobra?
I don't think I've ever listened to it all the way through, so I'm going to reserve judgment on that one for now. But again, it's like I might fight again. I always say I fight. Maybe I fight for my takes about some of these bands or albums from like that they suck, that sucks, this sucks. But I respect the way you feel more than the way I feel because you're the one that likes the music, and that means you have to defend it, which is inherently a much harder job. It's a more noble thing to do. So there's no like real pleasure I get out of, I guess, being hard on some of this stuff, but it's a little bit. But it's just I'm always ready to change my mind. I'm not stuck on any of this. So if I come around on results may vary, you'll be the first to know. I'll hit you up right away. I'll be like, I was wrong. It's actually not super long and terrible with bad lyrics and nonsense riffs and a Who cover. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen. Might happen tomorrow.
All right. So with Stained, correct me if I'm wrong. You put Fade and For You on there.
Yep.
And that's it. Okay.
Yep.
So why not Mud Shuffle?
I think that with Stained capturing what it was that they did well, which was here. What Stained did well is they kind of created this sort of gravity to the lyrics because I think their lyrics are very self-pitying and in a way sort of cheap. They're very like cheaply self-pitying, but at their best, they made that comforting to be in that sort of space of being able to just, be sad and feel like nobody understands you and being able to like empathize through them, like just let go of the corniness of those emotions and just be like, fuck yeah, this sucks. Nobody gets me. Where with a song like Mud Shovel, it's just kind of like pathetic. Like it's not bad per se. Don't get me wrong. I like that song, but it doesn't really come around in a way that I would find to be invigorating enough to consider it for inclusion. If I was going to put something off that album in that list, it would have been like Just Go.
Mm-hmm.
But even that has like the worst Alice in Chains fake harmonies ever put to tape. So probably wouldn't have made it there anyway. Stain's a tricky one, man. They're a tricky one. They used to mean a lot to me like 2 years ago. And now I really am not super into them.
Yeah. See, for me, Stained, like, I think the thing that they did that was the best, or like in reference to new metal at least, was how they kind of like were super groove metal influence, but also were like touchy-feely, emotional. So like in a way it was like you were listening to what is it? Depressed version of Pantera or something.
Depressed Pantera. Yeah. Like if Pantera just kept making I'm Broken.
Yes.
Over and over and over.
Yes, like exactly that. But usually with clean vocals most of the time. Most of the time, because I think Aaron screamed on quite a few songs actually. But like
so Fade is compelling to me because it sort of points it a way out of the trouble and the darkness. Like he's sort of narrating himself trying to come to grips with things and get better. Mm-hmm. And then with For You, he's singing from the perspective of someone else, of like a child, a son or a daughter. And I think it's those two things that are what make those songs compelling to me. Whereas with most Stained songs, it's just me. Nobody gets me. Nobody likes me. Everyone hates me. Everyone's mean to me. Literally, look at me. I'm so pathetic. Like literally, those are the songs. It's just I'm the shit. I'm the worst. Ugh, nobody likes me. Yeah. So for me, I need to. The Stained songs that I had to include were the ones that had some sort of direction towards resolution, towards optimism. Yeah. And that's just an emotion. That Aaron, if you're watching this, man, we could use some more of those songs. I love you, dude, but you're killing me, man. You're killing me. It's decades with this guy. Would you run against you? You'd probably run against. I could see you doing debates with him. Like I could see him running
I was
for like.
about to say, like,
I could totally see him running for Congress.
I was about to say, like, if Aaron is watching this, I would love to have you on the show for a debate and an interview sometime.
That
Um,
would be fierce. That would be fierce. He's
you do
definitely the kind of guy to never change his mind about anything.
like earlier last year, I had a debate in conversation with the lead singer of Trapped.
Oh, I remember that. I
Yes.
remember that. I remember that. I remember that. I don't know if I saw it, but I remember you doing that. I
Yes.
absolutely remember you doing that because I remember being really frustrated at the time that you didn't follow me. It
Yes.
was really, really offensive to me. I was like, I can't believe this guy doesn't follow me back. How is this real?
Yeah. Didn't you follow? I thought you followed me recently. Was it that you were following me for a long time and I'm just now following you as of a couple of months ago? I'm confused now. Oh well.
I don't know. I may have unfollowed you because I was grumpy about it.
That happens.
But
Oh, but yeah, that's funny.
that is funny that you're that same guy. Like it's really
Yeah.
funny. I totally forgot about that. I need to look that
Yeah.
episode up because I
Yeah,
remember that happening.
that was fun. But no, yeah, so Stained, where else are we going with? Oh yeah, so with Corn, you put, I don't remember the songs you did put, though I thought putting Chi on there was a really interesting one.
Yes. Yeah.
That I always thought the first three songs on, like, well, not three songs, excluding Twist, Chi, Lost, and
Swallow.
Swallow. The guitar riff in those three songs, I could never figure it out. It's like weird and like, you know what I'm talking about? Like the riff sounds similar, but like they're different, but like they sound like they were made a similar way. I guess it's like the way that they were recording it or something. You get what I'm saying?
Sort of. It sounds like they waded through a big bog of mud and then had to record
Yes, that's the thing.
guitar
Yeah,
parts
like
after that.
it sounds like real muddy and gargly, and that's why
Yeah.
like I'm listening to it. I'm just like, this sounds like gross. Like, what is this? But it sounds cool. That's why I always like those songs, because it's like I've never heard a band ever sound like that with their guitars ever, besides
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
three songs.
I mean,
And
the word you're looking for is bad. They
yeah,
sounded bad. They sounded like they didn't know exactly what they were doing, but they were just so on fire and so confident that they
mm-hmm.
were making something new that I think that's what really carries it over. And to me, Chi Chi is as good as new metal could possibly get. I mean,
Yeah,
there was literally like my personal list. If I were to just be ranking on what I would determine to be like something like objective quality, I think Chi is the greatest new metal song ever. So it's that sort of confidence that carries them forward. And on that song in particular, it's just so invigorating.
yeah.
I remember hearing that in 2017 when I was just starting to poke around new metal again and see what I had been missing out on,
Mm-hmm.
and being blown away by that song, specifically that song, being like, I didn't know that new metal was like this. Because that's something of a deep cut. It's hard
Oh
for
yeah,
a
it's
deep cut to
definitely
be
deep
the
cut.
first
Yeah.
song on an album, but I think it's a good place to go once you're ready to listen to something that isn't like Nookie or Freak on a Leash, or in the end, it's like you check this shit out. Like
Yeah.
that's like next level.
Yeah. I think what is it? Like that album. Oh wow, that album's really good. Like
Their
just
best.
across the board.
I truly believe it's their best.
Weren't you the one the other day that said that, like, what was it? You said that I think it was you that said that Life is Peachy had no skips or something like that.
It's their only album that I would say has no skips.
Yeah, you were the one that, like, Porno Creep for me. I can't listen to that.
Well,
I just couldn't. Yeah,
isn't that just an instrumental?
it is. Yeah, but I couldn't. I like, but for me, like a no skip album has to be like you would listen to that as well. Because like there are some albums where like I'll listen to the instrumental, like, you know, but like with that I couldn't do that one. I think there's another one on there I couldn't do. Hold on, Let me find the track list again. That's pretty much it. I usually skip their cover of Lowrider too. But like I couldn't, yeah. Other than that, I like all the other songs. And then with Kill You, I just like the bass slapping in that. That's just really good. And that heavy, basically almost death metal riff, but not quite death metal riff. Like that's really nice. But no, the ones that I thought should have gone on there were Thoughtless, Make Me Bad, and All in the Family, and Twist. But I feel like Twist is a given. But like, yeah.
Make Me Bad was on an early draft of the list. That was on there for a second.
Yeah, because that's like one of my go-to Korn songs. That and Thoughtless.
Thoughtless, I would never put on there, which I think Thoughtless is a pretty good song, but by that point, they were trying really hard to write actual like hit singles. And I think a lot of what makes Korn is not present anymore by the time that album rolls around. Someone on Twitter pointed out to me how just boring the drumming on Untouchables is. And it really did surprise me actually to like listen to it and think like yeah, Silvera's just clocking in, clocking out. And if he's not engaged, I mean, that's a huge part of their sound. The best Korn songs are the ones where he's just drumming his ass off. And I think by Untouchables, he's really just kind of just 4/4ing it, not the same sort of aggression and the same creativity as the earlier songs. And then Twist is, I mean, great opener, but
yeah,
I get your point. I could see someone with a little more bravery than me putting that on there. The kids do love Twist, so
yeah, it's in every other TikTok video.
The kids do love Twist. I will give them the shout out to the kids.
Yeah, those are pretty much the Korn songs that I thought the most of. I think I wanted to say when I started looking at their first album, I was like, okay, half of this whole, maybe every song on this album should have been on the list. So I wasn't about to like start listing off every song on their first album because I think their first album is just too good. Like I always come back to that album sometimes, and I'm just like, the first Korn album is just too good.
Like, I need to revisit that soon enough because it's good, and I'm trying to figure mentally I'm trying to gear up to do, and I might do it, might not do it. I'm trying to think of how I would do the 50 greatest new metal albums of all time. Like the albums
I was gonna ask you about that if you were gonna do a top new metal.
Thinking on it,
albums,
and I'm trying to think like if that would be number one or Slipknot self-titled would be number one. Well, I have a wild card pick for number one, but I got to keep that one in my back pocket for now.
Okay.
We'll get there, but
can you give me a hint as to what it might be?
Rick Rubin produced it.
Okay. Well, that narrows it down, kind of.
No guesses.
But no. But yeah, oh no, I still think Follow the Leader is probably the best Korn album.
Too long.
Too long?
Yeah.
What would you name a song you would cut off of here? Name one.
Look, outside of the first 3 tracks, Dead Bodies Everywhere and Justin, I don't know if I could even like hum most of those songs. Reclaim My Place is good. There's just a lot of stuff on there though where this is something else that I talk about with Korn. Their problem is they don't have like an emotional cycle to go through on their albums. Literally like every goddamn song is about the pain, the hating the pain, and also being in pain from the hating. It's every Korn song. So over the course of like a 50 of an hour long album, and you just hitting those notes over and over and over, even if on a song by song basis they're good songs, you just get exhausted and you start to check out. I think the first Korn album gets away with it because it's so novel. The sound is so new and so raw, and they're so passionate. And then Life is Peachy takes the crown for me because of how funny it is and for how loose they are on it and how energetic they are. It's definitely their least serious that I've ever heard. But then everything after that, it's just the fame, the pain, hating, the pain, the fame. It's kind of gets to be a bit of a trudge. And I think all of those albums needed to be sequenced better. Someone really should have been tightening up the strings on those. Yeah. So when you say like, oh, what songs would you cut or whatnot? think it's just more a case of sequencing, just trimming stuff down. Because on a song by song basis, I don't know if anything off Life is Peachy is bad necessarily, except maybe All in the Family, debatable. But
Family
could be worked. It just could be worked a little better.
Yeah. I don't know. I love All in the Family. I'm the weird person. I'm like the only person who's ever like said like All the Family is like one of my favorite Korn songs. Everyone always looks at me like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, yeah, I'm okay, and I know every word to that song.
You're like, here, I'll sing it for you, acapella.
Exactly.
No, we believe you. We believe you. We believe you.
I'll even change my voice to do.
I'll do the voices.
Yes. I love that song. That song is just.
Would you have been okay with me putting a Hatebreed song on the list?
No, not even a little. Because there's no songs by Hatebreed that could even like pass as new metal.
I tweeted that once. I was like, man, Hatebreed are the most divorced new metal band I've ever heard. And people were like, you're like, bro, they're not a new metal band, bro. Don't even start with this, bro.
They're a good band, but they're not new metal at all. No.
I'm working on my hot take that Strife is a new metal band.
I haven't heard too many songs by Strife. So.
I'm gonna go for Strife. I'm gonna try to get The Used indoctrinated as a new metal band.
The Used? No, don't. No.
Just really wild now. Just going all in. At this point for me now, it's like I just want the bands and artists that I like to be new metal. Like Sade is new metal, you know. I don't want them to be in other genres. I want to keep them. I want to keep them in my genre.
What do you think of Korn's dubstep album, Path of Totality?
I need to sit down and listen to it. Actually,
I want to
sit down and listen to it. I don't think I've ever.
It's really good.
That was another, but that I would give that as another good cultural moment of like the death of new metal, new metal's dark years, because that was another distinct moment. I remember everyone being like, "This genre is a joke. These guys are clowns. They have no talent." Like everyone using that as another excuse to be like, "This band fucking sucks."
Yeah,
you know, dubstep fucking sucks. Dubstep, the new metal of electric music for sure.
That's a good one. No, I really like Path of Totality. Like for me, that's a top 5 Korn album for me.
Even without hearing it, I probably like it better than Remember Who You Are, which I did listen to in full.
Remember Who You Are is terrible. Korn 3, that's good. Terrible. That's good. I'll die on that hill. That's Korn 3 is terrible.
Korn 3 is not good.
Not terrible.
And I think that's just what happens when bands are like, we're getting back to the basics on this one. So when they did the dubstep stuff, I got to give them all that credit for being like, fuck this. Like, let's try something we've never done before. Let's try to do something brand new.
And every song on that album is a banger. Like that's one of my favorite. That album's so good.
I'm definitely going into it optimistic. I would really like to come away with that, with an appreciation for that one for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's move on from Korn. Because I got 4 more bands to ask about. Okay.
Keep coming.
Linkin Park. I know you put In the End on there, I'm sure, right?
Nope.
No? Okay, then I'm okay with that. I never cared for In the End. But you did put With You. You put that in the top 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Top 5.
Top 5. Whoa, bold. I never thought anyone would think to put With You anywhere on any top anything new metal list. So
I got some shit for that.
Like not saying I hate the song. I think it's one of the better songs on Hybrid Theory personally, but like I wasn't expecting to see that up there.
I think that does everything they ever did well. That's what I said. I think it does everything they ever did well is done perfectly on that one. Yeah. And everything that you could say was good about In the End, even particularly, is done way better on With You. I think it's absolutely their strongest song.
Yeah.
And enough people came around to give me a little guff about it that even I got to thinking like, well, is it really their best song? But I really think it is. It also uses a B standard 7-string.
Yeah,
riff
7-string.
So it's also a really new metal song by them.
Yes, because it definitely is heavier than all the rest of their songs on that album too. Like
while making room for really dense electronics, incredible production, huge chorus, rapping
is great,
atmosphere. See, you're getting it, aren't you? You're getting it.
Well,
You're starting to think. Yeah, you're starting to think.
I don't disagree. I mean, I wouldn't say I don't. I agree with you on how good of a song it is. I disagree with how high on the list it is. That's it. But no, but like still, I agree with your sentiment there. Yeah.
It's that high on the list, even beyond it just being a great song, because
Yeah.
it's also very emblematic of the post 2000s pop for pop's sake strain of new metal.
Mm-hmm.
So as like the representative of that particular style, I think it deserves its high place. But again, I really, even when after I fell off of Linkin Park and wanted to get back in, that song has always jumped out at me as being like the highlight. So I feel I'm pretty good about that.
Yeah. So the three songs that I thought should go on there are Don't Stay, Somewhere I Belong, and Lying From You.
Those are three great songs. I do really like Don't Stay. I really wish Linkin Park had written more songs than Drop B for sure.
Yeah.
But those are also just like three bangers. And especially with Meteora. Do you think Meteora is better than Hybrid Theory?
Yes, actually.
See? You're dead ass wrong. You're so wrong. It's funny how wrong you are. But the problem I have with singling out almost any Meteora track is that it's just a weaker version of something on Hybrid Theory. I like Meteora, but I also have trouble imagining it as something other than just Hybrid Theory to return to the Hybrid Theory. So,
well, it is like stylistically, it is the same as Hybrid Theory,
which is fine. I'm not like,
yeah.
I think that's good. I think that's good that they went back to that well one more time.
Yeah.
To pull off that same hat trick again. And I think they succeeded really well. But I would also struggle to call any of those songs definitive of theirs.
Well, I would say, what's the one with the flute? Nobody's listening.
Yeah.
That's the one that I always single out to people as my reason for why Meteora is better than Hybrid Theory, simply because pretty much the entire album is in the same style as Hybrid Theory, but like Nobody's Listening has the little whistle flute loop throughout the whole thing, and it's kind of different. The riffs are layered differently in there, and the electronics kind of take precedent more so, but in a different way than, like Breaking the Habit or something like that. And also Breaking the Habit's on Meteora, and you don't have anything like Breaking the Habit on.
No, that's definitely the exception. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could argue that Hybrid Theory, if you include the deluxe version tracks, that has My December and High Voltage. But
those are like precursors. Yeah, those are like the precursors to those two songs.
Yeah, but like, I would still say, even with that, I would still say Meteora is still the better album.
I think enough people agree with you that I should think on it for a bit, and maybe check the two out again, because it's definitely a take that I hear a lot, that people think Meteora is the better record, and I really can't relate to that for now, but I'll give it another go and see what I'm missing out
on. Let's see. Okay, and with Mudvayne, you have, I want to say it's 3 songs. Dig, Not Failing, right?
Not Falling,
sorry. And there's a third one, I can't remember what it was.
No third, just 2.
Just those 2? Okay. So I was thinking Internal Primates Forever should be on there, and Death Blooms.
I see your reasoning, and actually you did name the other like 2 songs from that album that I do really like.
Yeah.
But Death Blooms I could understand, because it really is like their Tool on Ecstasy and Mushrooms sort of song, because it does have like those more balladic touches to it, in addition to being spasmastic and all over the place. But I still wouldn't call it definitive, because to me, Mudvayne has always just been a really good creative, like radio rock type band. And that song has a little pretense to it, a very Maynard sort of poetic pretense to it. Whereas Not Falling and Dig are just really straightforward Mudvayne showcases. And I think they're a band where, for me personally, the less time they spent trying to be like lyrically complicated and lyrically deep, the better they were. So I have to give it to the two songs for sure. I love their dumb bangers, man. I love their idiot savant masterpieces.
Let's see. But yeah, Mudvayne is kind of another one of those bands where it's like, I think they're kind of underrated in some ways, but also, I don't know. People get weird about Mudvayne. I think
yes, they do.
I think it's because of the Berber Ding meme. The people overdo that. But let's see. Not as weird as people get about Deftones. Deftones fans are some of the weirdest people online.
Yeah, definitely don't want to hear about their band being
well. Yeah. Let's see. And also, I will also add, I didn't write anything about this here, but I think you only picked, you picked Back to School, which, yes, that definitely needed to be on there. Because Back to School is like good. And you put Digital Bath in the top 10, right? I think
top 5. That's
top
number 4.
Yeah, I disagreed with that wholeheartedly. But yeah, you didn't put any songs from Adrenaline on there, so you didn't even put Engine Number 9.
I did put Teething on there.
Okay, yeah, because that's from that era.
Yeah, I would say, and I think Teething would be the best expression of that era that they did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, and with Papa Roach, I only had two complaints, I guess, but like one addition. Between Angels and Insects.
That was in an earlier draft. That used to be on there. Yeah. Between Angels and Insects used to be on there, and Dead Cell was on there.
Yeah.
And those all got bumped for other picks. But yeah, that's another. I totally understand where you're coming from with that one.
Yeah, that one, that's the best song on that album to me, is Between Angels and Insects.
Massive.
Yeah. Let's see. And that's all I have to say about Papa Roach. Oh, okay. So you also put Last Resort in your top 10 as well at number 2. Okay.
2.
Yeah. So here's my thing with that song. I agree with it being on the list, just not in the top 10. And I'll also say I think it's probably the best nu metal music video.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick for that.
Like, if we're just looking at nu metal music videos, which I think there's a lot of good ones, and then there's some that are just like, we could leave that in the early 2000s and not add it again. but no, the music video for what's it called again? Last Resort. That's a really good one. I really like that because it's really diverse.
I think that was directed by Marcos.
Yeah.
I'm totally butchering that, I'm sure. Who also did Chop Suey.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I really like that video because it's the band performing. It's got all these different kids and teens that are different, backgrounds, and it's just a really good video to vibe to. I also love videos that have posters of other bands in the background.
I also think that every time kind of makes that sense of like community.
Yes.
It's like real. I'm almost 100% certain of this. It's really their like bedrooms. Like they're not set dressed. They're really they're the actual rooms that they're living in. And I think it really makes it hit that much harder. Yeah. 100% agree with you.
and I think a lot of the posters are of other new metal bands, if I'm not mistaken. So like
Yeah,
it to me, it was like I couldn't like to me, it's like whether or not that is their real rooms or like whoever directed it did that, I still felt like that was like super cool because I was like, oh well, like
yeah,
it's just like the like it's like the most emblematic new metal video that like there is because like all the kids are dressed like whatever new metal is supposed to be dressed like, and then I don't know, it's just a really good video to me. Like I
yeah.
think it's up there with let's see, I think other contenders would be like the Roland video for Limp Bizkit or even the break stuff video, I guess, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
no, I love that.
But
That's a
yeah,
great one.
yeah. But let's see what else. Okay, Jump the Fuck Up by Soulfly. That's not on the list.
Meh,
How? It's got Corey Taylor rapping in it.
it's fine. I've never been super into that one. I always felt like it was more of like a means to an end, the end being you jumping the fuck up. I think it's fine. I do like Soulfly.
Yeah.
Sometimes I even like Soulfly a little more than Sepultura, but don't tell anyone that. But no, can't say. I think, and I don't think you're the first person to say that either. Someone else brought that one up, but
Yeah.
yeah, that one always just seemed like excuses to get to the riff rather than like a full coherent song.
Well, I've read, I don't know how true this is, but I read that that song was made in order to like kind of poke fun at new metal or
Oh,
something.
really?
Yeah, like, and that was like the idea behind it. I don't know how true this is because like I've seen this written somewhere and then I've also like never seen it anywhere else. But
I get it though. I can
it
see
kind
it.
of makes sense though because I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
mean, like it does kind of make sense, but like I don't know. But I still think it's like really cool. Like I think it's like a really good song.
Yeah, it
And
absolutely is. Absolutely.
by far has like probably the best Corey Taylor rapping in it.
I'll check that one out again too. Do you
Yeah.
like Primitive? Do you like that album?
I like most of it, yes. Like I like Back to the Primitive, I like Pain, I like Sun Song. I like most of those songs. It's let me make sure, hold on.
Need to give that one another whirl for sure. I need to give that one another go.
Cause let me see. Hold on. Let me find it. All right, here it is. Yeah, because like I Pain, Bring It, Malombo. Yeah. Boom is kind of good too. Yeah, I like most of these songs on here. Um Pain with Chino. No, I didn't like their first album as much, Soulfly's first album.
I think that one's really strong actually. I like that one.
I like that you put No Hope, No Fear. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's one that I listen to a lot. And then Bleed by Soulfly featuring Fred Durst. I don't like that song really. I mostly when I do listen to it, I just skip to Fred's part. The rest of the song is just filler to me.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Wow, mean.
I couldn't. I just don't like the rest of that song. It just doesn't track with me. It just seems off. And then Fred jumps in, and it's like, okay, now I see why the song exists. But yeah, but Soulfly was really good. Like I like Max Cavalera. That's the dude right there.
Mhm.
And then with Sepultura, I don't really like a lot of their thrash stuff, but I like what's it called? Some of the
Roots.
stuff on Roots. Yeah, like I like a lot of the stuff on Roots. Like Bloody Roots, Cutthroat. Um I always gloss over this in my head sometimes, but there's literally a song with Jonathan Davis and Mike Patton on it.
Look away.
And yes, and I feel like we don't talk about that enough. Because
It's a
that's
good
like
one.
that's like an amazing, I remember looking that up or like remembering like looking through that album again a couple of years ago. I was like, wow, I totally forgot this actually happened. Like it feels like a dream, but like, well, why doesn't like everyone on Twitter talk about this song all the time? Like this is like almost like a dream song that like you wouldn't think happened, but it
Yeah, the
actually did.
collaboration. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think the next dream one that like should happen would be like Corey Taylor and Mike Patton. But that's probably never gonna
Yeah.
happen. That'd be pretty cool though. But yeah, that's pretty much the only Soulfly song I had issue with not being on the list. So I also just want to make like a general complaint about your top 10 because it was pretty
Go ahead.
wild. Like I didn't agree with any of those songs being in the top 10. Some of them I agree with being on the list, just not being in the top 10. But Tourniquet by Evanescence. Why?
So funny with that one. That was the last song to make the list. It was a real 11th hour sub in there, like to get that one in there. And I still really like it.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the one that kind of keeps me up at night where I'm like, man, that's high to sub some in at 10. And the thing about it is like I love the song and I'll ride out for the song any day, but the production on it is rough.
Yes.
Like a lot of the production on Fallen is like really like shoestring budget Mike Shinoda imitations. And when that one in particular it's got some really shitty vocal filters on it. The guitar tones are crap. It's a really great song in spite of itself. And I think I'm still cool with it because of how invigorating I find its like lyrical concepts to be. And I think it's got a lot going for it either way. But that is the one where I'm like, man, 10, like 10. That's crazy. I still feel pretty good about it overall. I do like surprising people. So I do think it's a nice surprise to put there at 10, but that is the one where I'm a little shaky on.
Yeah. Yeah, that Fallen album is really good. Like I really like it. I was like obsessed with it for like a good 6 months when I was like 15. um let's see. Yeah, and the reason why I really like that album is because it's just gothic metal Linkin Park. That's all it really is.
Just sounds, yeah, it sounds bad. That was another one that Ellie of You Don't Need Maps pointed out to me, was that the guitar tones sound like farts. And I was like, fuck, they do. They do. They really do.
Yeah, is it my favorite song on that album has to be probably Imaginary or Whisper.
It's got some good deep cuts. Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah, like I never listened to Bring Me to Life. I haven't probably listened to that song in like years. I like it. Like it's not a bad song. I just don't care for it as much.
Yeah, and it's overplayed, of course.
Yeah. Everybody's Fool is really good. The riff in that's really good. I love that.
Yeah.
That song easily sounds like 3 Days Grace could have done it too.
Yeah, kind of. I can kind of hear that.
Like it almost, like thinking about it now, it kind of feels like the actual like riffs and the playing, like it feels like Just Like You, but not just like you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. What else is there? Yeah, there's some really good songs there. I'll probably listen to that tomorrow. It's been a while since I've revisited that album. I think that's pretty much it. We've addressed almost everything else that I wanted to talk about in reference to this list. I guess I will need to send you some recommendations for Attila and Amir.
Yes,
and
please bring me up
Issues,
to speed,
because wow, like you're missing out, man.
I agree. I probably am.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation. You're the second person I've had on within the last couple of weeks to just talk to about music. So like,
was your last music guest not nu metal?
It was a little bit about new metal. It's about new metal and grunge and all of that stuff and hardcore. It was pretty cool. It's like 2 hours long. It was what's his name? Jason Miles of This Is Revolution podcast.
Sick.
He, yeah, I'll send that to you so you can take a look at it because it was pretty interesting conversation. But yeah. But anyway, thank you for coming on. Where can we find you on social media, and tell us a little bit about your Twitch and where we can find you on there?
Thanks for having me. I'm at Holiday Kirk on just about everything. I would recommend starting on Twitter because that is what I'm best at. Twitch streams happen sporadically. That's more mixing of just trying to serve up all the best new metal that I've got in my library. Make sure to check out my album, Come Here, which is available now on all the good streaming platforms. So check that out. Hit me up on Twitter. If you've got recommendations for me for new metal, hit me up right away. That includes you. So yeah, that's all that.
And to let you know ahead of time, I'm going to clip out that thing that you said about chocolate starfish. I'm going to put it out on Twitter.
I can't. No, please don't do that. I can't. I can't right now.
I'm kidding. No, that was funny though. No, but no, man. Thanks.
Thanks so much for having me, man. This was great.